hey, you're ready to get through all of them,
For sure. Who knows?
Larry Anderson. All right, man. This is cool. And then you were with Eagle Blitz, you said?
Yes. Eagle of the Blitz. Blitz of the Eagle.
Second total stranger to the cast.
It's just me.
So exciting.
That's the best thing about meeting like book people is like it's like you've known each other for forever.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly why I did this. Um, I started this whole thing for that precise reason. I wanted to go meet someone new.
Yeah.
And have you met book alumni like right in the world just by
Yeah.
chance
I've
before?
met some people in the world before, like really just in random passing. Like I recruited somebody because I'm a recruiter. So I recruited people that sold books, that kind of stuff. So
Oh, really?
yeah.
Where do you recruit at? Oh, we're live now, by the way.
Oh, snap. We're live.
Oh yeah, we've been.
Andres, before we get like officially started though, I gotta say I've had that first knock jitters for like the last week and a half of like, shit, I'm gonna be on a podcast talking about books. I had a book mare the other night, and I'm like, I haven't had this in like now 10 years or 2021. Like it's crazy. Like just how like that feeling of anxiousness and nervousness, you just like, what's that first not gonna be like kind of thing. So yeah, I've been in that mode since I like emailed you, and it's like, yeah, let's do the third. I've got nothing going on, and it's like, oh shit, now I'm here, but the door's not been knocked on, and I'm about to get that door slammed. It's gonna be great. Let's do it.
Yeah, this good attitude about having the door slammed. Oh man, welcome anybody who's listening or anybody on YouTube later on listening on. This is Ponytails. Oh, I got to change my name. I am not Nick Traverti.
Oh,
I
what?
am.
Imposter you.
I am imposturing Nick Traverti. Nick got brown all of a sudden. um, yeah, this is interesting because I'm so excited to have you on. So let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about Larry real quick. Larry Anderson sold 5 summers with Eagle Blitz. Pretty decent production, not bad, not bad. My man hit PC. Uh, uh, just awesome guy so far to get to know here in this pre warm up that we had before the show, and you were just telling me about all these different things that we could talk about. So I'm excited about this. I really like it. It's exciting to have someone that I don't know.
Yeah.
Yesterday we had another episode where it was someone that reached out to us and wanted to be on the show, and it was so exciting because it meant that we were kind of doing something cool.
Yeah.
And so yeah, no need to be nervous, just a solid conversation. The jitters, we can approach if you want. You can approach me. You can go,
Yeah,
hi,
yeah,
am
yeah, yeah,
I?
yeah, 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 yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it. No, we're not gonna freaking approach. What everybody likes about the way I do business, whatever.
We're not gonna, hi, are you
Close
the
it.
dad of the house?
Yeah.
Pick up the
Gonna
bag.
close. Let's just, yeah, all the good stuff. I'm just the
Some
one in charge of sitting with all the podcasters in the area talking about books.
Yeah, I'm just the one that's talking about the time that we did this cult thing in college. It's a fun thing though, honestly. Like I was telling you, this started just because I wanted to connect with people because I was
Yeah.
going nuts, and so it's cool to always meet a new book kid. It's like, dude, we went through war together. It's like finding a veteran. Like,
Right?
oh yeah, this guy right here, Virginia, 2013,
Let's
crazy
not talk
summer.
about scars quite yet. I've got some from the book field, like physical scars. So yeah.
Did you ever get bit by a dog?
No, I never got bit by a dog. That's one thing, but I have had a dog tear through my tire and like flatten it
Oh
as
shit.
I'm pulling out of a yard. Like I knocked on that door and got back to my car, dead eye staring that dog the entire way. Once I got in the car, dude, freaking, I don't know what
Reverse.
kind of dog it was, just tore right into my tire. And then I'm out here on the ditch in the culvert outside of the dude's driveway, like the dog's off like in the distance, like barking at me the whole time I'm changing this tire. And I'm like, screw you, dog. Fuck off. So yeah.
It's the worst when you like get the dogs that ruin a sales story. One second.
Speaking of dogs, yeah.
You would think that was scripted though.
Yeah, you'd
Like,
think.
dude, bark now, bark now, bark now. But they're not. See, like dogs like that ruin the sale. It's fucking annoying.
God,
And
you got to
you're,
show that dog who's the alpha. You know, you just got to
yeah,
dead eye stare it the whole time and be like, I'm getting what I need.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I've only got bit twice in the book field, and it was by chihuahuas each time. And
dude, those
so
nippers, like those
I
were the
hated those
closest
dogs, man.
ones that got to me. Like I wore tube socks so they would avoid like actually getting anything, but I've had them try and get at my socks. So,
It just makes you so annoyed when it's just like these little yappers. Oh, you just want
yeah.
to kick them? Oh,
Well,
that's bad.
yeah, and I only wore tube socks, a couple times whenever we were supposed to. The rest was 100% red Crocs.
Oh, you sold in Crocs. Ooh,
100%.
that's a
Yes.
statement, bro.
I've got them right here. I'm still fucking wearing these bad boys, man. You kidding me? I
Those
can
are the
thank
legit
Southwestern.
Crocs.
I can thank Southwestern for introducing me. My roommate, my first summer, Blake Johnson, was like, I remember it. It was Oklahoma, and I'm like, "You're wearing Crocs?" And he goes, "Hell yeah! You want wet feet? I don't have to wear socks. It's raining all the time. Whatever." I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna buy me some Crocs. So I bought some red, or had my mom buy me some red Crocs and ship them out to me in Oklahoma, and I mean, these aren't those red Crocs, God forbid. But yeah, I've been a Crocs fan ever since.
You're still
So
the fan. Did
yeah.
you? So hang on. So there's a lot there I wanted to ask you about. So you sold in Oklahoma your first summer,
Uh-huh.
and did you sell in that area the whole time?
Yeah. So that first summer in Oklahoma, a couple things about that summer. It was the rainiest like summer on record for Oklahoma. It
Nice.
rained it rained more days than it didn't when I was there. So one reason why I learned how to get these magical miracle shoes, and wear them all the time. But yeah, I stayed in the Lawton. Like my HQ is in Lawton, and I worked on the outskirts of Lawton, and then all the way out to Altus, which there's an Air Force base out there, because you got Fort Sill, which is the Army base. And the only thing to do there, apparently, when I ask people, "Hey, what'd you do for fun?" is like, "We go to the strip club." And I'm like, "Cool, all right."
That's where I go if I get off schedule.
Yep, and I work at Goodyear, so yeah, that was Lawton.
That's
So
awesome. So hold on. In going into that first summer, how did you get into Southwestern? Tell us this. I always ask everyone because I want to know
yeah,
what drove them to just where were they at in their life when they went, yeah, this sounds great.
so I was a sophomore at the University of Georgia, and I remember getting this random phone call one night. It was from a girl, and it's like, "Hey, do you want to learn about an opportunity to, make a lot of money this summer?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why not? Let's do it." So I was an RA at the time, went, and the meetings were held in the basement of the career center at the University of Georgia. So like I have these really weird. So yeah, when you come to this, don't go to the front door of the career center. Go to the side door and then walk down the stairs, and you'll see a guy, and then it'll be a conference room. That's You're in the right place. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
The
This doesn't
dungeon.
sound sketch at all. So go in, and I see whoever's doing it. I think Todd Purzel was the one that was hosting it, and he ended up being my manager. But there was a little like snafu or something. Like there was some infighting on who actually recruited me.
Oh,
It was either going to be Carrie. Was it Carrie? Carrie Ross, was that her last name? Was either Carrie or Todd Purzel, but they fought over me apparently because they both had my name on their
oh.
list. So yeah, there was some argument because it was weird after that first meeting, and I sat through and I'm like, this sounds a hell of a lot better than going back and working on the fucking farm and then working at the pine tree nursery after, onion season's over. So fuck that.
Let's go.
Um, so I remember leaving there and it's like, "Mom, I found about this opportunity where I can make like $7,000 this summer. She goes, "Wow, that sounds a lot more money than what you'll make on the farm." I'm like, "Hell yeah, it does." So really easy sell there, and
what
went from there. What? Go ahead.
sorry to interrupt. What part of the year was this? Was this the fall,
Oh, this
spring, right
was
before sales
early
school?
spring, early
Oh,
spring.
okay. Okay.
So like maybe January, February. Another
Okay.
crazy thing too, I realized this, later, is I filled out a questionnaire, and the class that I filled that questionnaire out in was actually, I dropped it in the middle of drop ad. So like I was literally only in that class for one session, and it was the session that I filled out that questionnaire.
Oh, so if you hadn't got
Yeah. Like, cause I
weird.
wasn't in that class the rest, I was like, I'm gonna drop this class. And literally the one time I was there, I just happened to fill out the little yellow questionnaire.
It seems to be that that's a common thing for a lot of people that sold books. It was like, oh, it was the one time at the one place if I hadn't done this one thing, and then
Dude,
boom.
it's crazy how it just works out like that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Todd the Bod Purcell was the one who got the official credit for recruiting me. Um, so yeah, University of Georgia.
And then you guys went to Oklahoma
Yeah, we went to Oklahoma, the rainiest Oklahoma ever.
and did it.
And
And this was '07.
yeah, '07 was my first summer, summer '07.
Damn.
So
So,
yeah,
and then
old
you
school.
sold, and then you sold 5 through. So you sold through 2011.
Yeah, 11 was my last summer.
That was the year Shane Hertig started. No, that was the year. No,
That was a year a lot of people apparently started. I just
yeah,
kind of fell off the face of the planet after
after
that
that
summer.
summer. Interesting. I actually started the year after, so my first summer was 2012. Yeah.
Okay.
So did you? So did you sold volume library still? You didn't sell.
No, we Eagle Blitz was always student handbooks. So,
But you never sold the Black Advantage books.
oh yeah, I had Advantage the last year or the year
It would have been the
before.
last year probably.
I think my last 2 years were Advantage, Swadvantage,
So Advantage.
Swadvantage
The
books.
website wasn't even up yet.
We had a Squids website. We had Squids. We sold a website subscription. I think that was my last summer or the summer before. Like we had like on the cusp of all that stuff. Cause I remember Rouser talking about it. Good old Mark Rao talking about
Shout out to
bringing
Mark
back
Rao.
Haley. Oh, what was Haley's last name? I can't
Devlin.
remember, but she was an Eagle Blitz alum. Everybody was like super pumped. Like Eagle Blitz has a very elitist feeling about them. You know, that's how you do it. You know, every DSM created this elitist feeling in their group. It's like,
Yeah.
we do it better than anybody else. And
Yeah.
Rao was stupendous at inciting that kind of feeling. So yeah.
He is fantastic at it, 100%. Yes.
Oh yeah.
He
Rouse the Rouser is good at what he does.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that's actually something we were talking about a couple episodes ago. I mean, his personality is tough with some other personalities, and that's understandable. But the thing is, that's the kind of person that you need to lead an organization to success. And so, Southwestern really was, at least on the American side, it was like the production was, it seemed to be going down, at least as I was leaving. And he came in to become like the national sales director. And like,
yeah, he's like president of the world now, right?
Yeah, he's
so
killing it. Yeah. Trump calls him to see if he should send missiles or not. That's but anyway, yeah, he's a stud. I love Mark. Sometimes I butted heads with him, but at the end of the day, you got to respect the guy so much.
Oh, dude, I mean, nothing but respect for Mark Rao.
Yeah, 100%. If you're listening, Mark, I don't know why you would be.
He doesn't have a Facebook. He'd only have to hear it through his wife, but I don't think she's in the page. And I don't know if anybody else in his family qualifies to enter the page. So
right. I agree. So anyway, so that's how you got recruited. You sold in Oklahoma, and how did you do? Was it a good summer? Or were you
oh man, that first summer, I was on schedule. I was one of the top first years in the org. That org blew out, not up. Like it blew out. As far as like
went back to Georgia.
So it was crazy. I didn't know about this until after, but like everyone did not do well except for me and one other person in that org. And it was so bad in the entire state of Oklahoma. We like combined orgs eventually. Like there were so many, like things were just getting so rough. Quit. So what was crazy though, I learned later, is that the managers in that org were doing the best of in all of Eagle Blitz. You know, like that was like that manager org was blowing it up, but for whatever reason, the first years just weren't doing it. Like I was number 101 in the superstar sales book my first summer. I had a shortened summer, which Georgia traditionally has a shorter summer. We only have like a 10 or 11 week summer, depending on when school lets out. And because I was an RA, I had to come back a week early. Right. So I had like an 8 or 9 week summer that first summer. So I remember a little over 2,000 units my first summer. And the person, like I was 1 unit off from beating the person who was number 100, and he had a 12-week summer. And I'm like, fuck that guy. Like,
I hate him.
fuck that guy. I don't even know who he is. I just remember he's blonde, got glasses. I don't even remember his name. I just remember his picture. So,
So
yeah, but that was my first summer. I thought I did really well. Jessica Lackey was in that organization. I don't know if you know who J Lack is.
no.
She's she was a top first year, like number 1 or number 2 her first year, and then she was a top producer every year that she went back. She sold for, and her brother Dylan Dylan Lackey was another one too. So, but no, J Lack was in that org. Quentin Roberts was another one. Yeah, that org was. I remember Quentin hitting PC twice, once in weak customers and once in solid customers, and we're like, what is this even mean? And I was a naive first year, but I remember hearing that and thinking that was pretty funny. But yeah,
That's epic. So that's a
yeah,
good org. That's good for
yeah,
summer.
it was a good org.
And you
But
went
there
to
were only,
Sizzler.
yeah, I made it to Sizzler. So yeah, it was crazy. It was me and Christina Burrell. That girl, oh my god, she was the top first year in our org, and then in our sister Oklahoma org was Rebecca Hyde. I don't know if you ever
Mm-hmm.
know
Yep.
Becca. Yeah,
Yep.
Becca and I both went to the University of Georgia, really great friends, and we both came. That was both our first summer was '07. So Becca was the top first year in that sister org, and I was definitely third place behind those two. But it was funny every time I'd ask Christina, like, what are you doing to do so well? She goes, I look in the rearview mirror at 2 o'clock and I cry. And I'm like, this doesn't help me at all. So, like, I'm never going to ask you how you sell again, Christina Burrell. Thank you. So,
Thanks for the advice. It completely doesn't make sense to me.
right.
Yeah. So Sizzler, did you make Sizzler every summer, or was it just a couple summers? Or and
So I made
tell me about some of your
Sizzler my
Sizzler
first 4
stories.
summers. So, so first Sizzler was Cancun, and I didn't know anybody because, like, my first real exposure to like Southwestern culture in Eagle Blitz was GRS 2. I don't think I made it to GRS 1. I might have made it to GRS 1 that year. I can't remember. Um, in Nashville, but I went to New Orleans for sure, and that's the one I remember, and that's where I met all the
That's
Texas
GRS too.
people. Yeah. Oh, 100% GRS 2. And that's where I met so many of my good friends like Nick Dale, Dylan Lackey, um, and all that stuff. I met them on Sizzler, but Sizzler in Cancun that first summer was crazy. We went to like Coco Bongo. We did the whole, stereotypical. I think that might have been the summer that we closed down the bar. I can't remember. It's all a blur. I just remember the main thing from that story is we went out to Chichen Itza. Me, Todd, and a few other people from the Oregon. We rented 2 Jeeps. Todd knew Spanish. So we're like, yeah, let's just go. And so we end up going to Chichen Itza. We stopped someplace to eat beforehand. Or no, wait. We stopped someplace to get beer so we can drink on the way there in our 2 Jeeps. We get there a little bit late, so it's like already dark. And they're starting to close it down, but we're trying to like do what we can to get up to the ruins and everything and see everything. And so we stopped somewhere and I can't remember if we ate before or after, but we ate at this like actual Mexican restaurant. And I'm like, I don't know what any of this food is. This is not Mexican that you get at Georgia,
Right.
So
Shocker.
I'm like, this is my first time in Mexico. I thought I was going to get, I don't know, whatever food. So went into that. And then on our way out, we get back in our respective Jeeps. It's me, Christina Burrell, her boyfriends, and then Quentin and Carrie. And Quentin's driving, I think. But anyway, we see the sign that says to Cancun, and we thought, yeah, that's how we get back. No, that's how you get back the back roads. So we went through third world Mexico, like
Oh shit.
driving in like at night on the way back to Cancun, right? So we're going there, like speed bumps are marked on signs that, look like a healthy woman lying on her back,
Yeah.
and they're literally just cinder blocks laid out on the road. We were measuring how bad the speed bumps were by cup sizes. And it was like that was a double D. Damn. That was kind of rough. And then I remember we were driving by and there were people like sweeping their living rooms because they didn't have a door, and the living room was dirt floor, and they're just sweeping. And then I think we saw a dog attacking a guy. We definitely saw some kind of fights going on somewhere. Like I remember just being surreal.
Just
I'm like, I'm not
sketchy.
drunk enough for any of this. And then Quentin, I remember Quentin or somebody saying, "Hey, there's a liquor store. We can stop there." And we're like, "No, we're not stopping at this liquor store in the middle of nowhere."
Sketchy.
So we finally make it right before the main road, and there's a military checkpoint, and we're all like, "What the fuck? Put your money in your shoes." All this like freaking out stuff.
Man,
And we get out, like they make us get out of the car, they search the car, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, we made it back that night. And I don't like that was the only memorable thing is getting lost on the way back
that's
from
crazy,
Chichen
dude.
Itza, going through like third world Mexico. And then we went like on a booze cruise, that was kind of
You have
fun.
to.
But yeah, booze cruising, Coco Bongo, and Chichen Itza. That's my first Sizzler experience. I met some people, but no one that I was like, oh, this is where we made our
Like
lasting
that.
relationship, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, because it was very clicky, because it was just Eagle Blitz, I think, so it was real. I don't even remember. I just remember not meeting a ton of people. I guess I was shy. I wasn't quite sure. I knew all these people, had sold a lot better than me because it wasn't in the top 100. So it was just nervous, that kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, and then you recruited what you said you recruited your sister. Tell me about that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So my second summer, I didn't recruit at all because I was just like, I just want to sell. I just want to beat Becca since Christina Burrow wasn't coming back. Becca was, a top first year, and they talked about her at every like, meeting that we went to. It's like there's Becca over there, and there's Larry, and it's like, where's Larry in the book? Larry's not, but he's got a grut chip on his shoulder, and he's gonna sell and make it this year. And I'm like, that's me. So
Like I'm gonna fucking destroy
adding fuel to the
Becca.
fire. And plus that was like crazy too, because Brian Ross was the Eagle Blitz DSM then, and he had left. And that was when Mark Rao came back and became the DSM of Eagle Blitz, like between my first summer and my second summer.
That
So
shit changed.
yeah, so things changed. And then good old Wade Floyd became my my particular DSM or whatever, like
Yeah,
my manager. So it wasn't Wade Floyd anymore. So pretty
the
much
upline.
Georgia was Quentin, myself, and Becca. And I think Quentin started recruiting, or did he recruit at all? Like there was some recruiting going on, not much though, if at all. So mainly it was just, hey, we just need Georgia to go out and sell with a solid group of managers was the whole mentality. And I think Wade tried to sell, but it was really cool sitting with Wade, learning, like just hearing a different perspective, because Wade had like the number one team for the longest time before. I think now it's like John Stewart has the number one team of all time or whatever.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I don't keep track of records and stuff as much anymore,
Yeah.
but he
I don't
did
know.
kill it when he was in
I just
in the
remember
league.
he was the one that had the UT team with like so many, like I remember those names all the time. But yeah, so Waderade was now our DSM, and we went out, and I didn't recruit at all for my B summer. My B summer, I was in Tennessee. That was probably my favorite summer, because that was the one
Tennessee
where I
was
felt like I had a
fun.
ton of adversity, but I was drinking the Kool-Aid so much
Tell me about
that,
that. Hold on. Tell me about that.
oh man, that's there's so much that happened in that second summer in Tennessee. So
Share as much as you'd like.
oh man, I've got some stuff written down. So I just remember going, and Jessica Lackey was going to be our OL that year. She had recruited a team, and it was going to be all of us Georgia people, I think. And then I think Becca was in a different org, but it was me and Quentin, or Quentin and I, and we both went to Tennessee working with Jessica. And there was a couple other, I'm trying to remember who all, but we all went to Tennessee. I was in Pikeville, Tennessee, Bledsoe County, was that my territory.
Where's that by?
Nowhere.
Is that by like were you close to Nashville to the company, or were you like
No, that was
across the
a few
state?
hours east of Nashville. Um, I was it was a county bordering the time change. So like
Oh,
depending
so
on
you're
where I
aware.
was in the county, I was on slow time or fast time. Uh,
Oh, that's interesting. Did you take
yeah,
advantage of that to sell?
sometimes. Hell yeah. So,
Because you could go back and knock and it was still
oh
like
man, I
9:30.
remember I was knocking and they're like, it's like 10:30, right? And I'm like, what? No, it's 9:30. And they're like, no, we're in fast time. And I'm like, oh, sorry. I mean, you free to talk? So
Sorry, I'm still here though.
yeah. So I mean, you answered, and everyone's awake, but
Look at you, look at your kids right there.
right. Thank God it was like on a Friday whenever that happened, I think. But yeah, so that was the situation. I remember like going into that sales school, just being, that B. Oh, we also had a couple LSU students coming in too. We had a couple LSU students in that org. But so we get there and there was a couple B's. I was one of them. And so we're at sales school and I just remember like it all just starting to click. Like Wade was always preaching like, hey, your first summer you get paid in experience, your second summer you get paid in cash. That kind of thing was the whole like mantra going into it. So I bought into that like crazy. That was probably the most coachable I'd ever been in my life, was going into that second summer. And going into it, killing it. I just remember that having a meeting, we're talking about HQs, and they're like, Larry, do you want a room with this particular guy? I can't even remember his name. Diego was his name. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care if you room me with Diego. I don't care. Like, and the reason they asked me is like, he's gay. And I'm like, I don't care if he's gay. As long as he does execs in the morning, that's all that
Let's fucking
matters.
go. Yeah.
Let's go. I don't care. It's not, we're going to be sharing a bed. Little did I know we would be later. But what was crazy is I also had a first year in Josh Moulton. So they're going to be in our room too. So we go out to to East Tennessee to go. We didn't have an HQ set up at all. So obviously you do the normal HQ knock in, trying to find, hey, where is everything? So get into that. And I find this trailer in the middle of gosh, what is it? I don't even remember the HQ town, but it was this trailer. I remember knocking on it, and that's when I first met Danny. Danny was like, "Hey, what's going on out here?" And I'm like, "Danny, I'm just looking for you wouldn't happen to have a spare bedroom that you could have a couple college students, live with and everything, for rent money?" And he goes, yeah, we was trying to have a youngin, but ended up not working out. So we got a free bedroom you could stay in. I'm like, sure, let's check it out. I walk in, cigarette smoke like crazy. Oh my God, straight up cigarette smoke the entire time. I didn't notice that Danny was, pretty much had one in his hand the whole time while he was leaning up on his door frame.
Chain
Dude,
smoker.
I kid you not, Danny had a candle, and so did his wife Karen. And they slept in separate bedrooms. That's a whole another story. Anyway, but like our bedroom, we had two bedrooms to ourselves, me and us three dudes. So I had to end up sharing a bed with Diego. No big deal. But I remember seeing Danny with a candle that wasn't lit, and then we'd wake up obviously early doing everything, and I'd see the candle still not lit, but obviously we woke Danny up and the candle, or no, when I woke up, the candle was lit. And then when Danny was awake, it wasn't lit because it was a fucking perpetual flame. The dude lit the cigarette or lit the candle with the cigarette, the last cigarette of the night, and then starts the first cigarette of the day with the same fucking flame from his candle.
Oh,
Like the
God,
dude was the
smokes.
epitome of chain smoker. He had two Chihuahuas. One of them was named Elvis. That was his dog. Karen's dog. I don't even remember. But oh my God, you talk about dysfunctional relationship marriage, and we were
Just all weird.
having to be there.
Middle of that.
Danny was great though. He'd do our laundry, if we paid him. He goes, yeah, I was tired of y'all leaving a mess with clothes everywhere, so decided to go. You mind paying me $5? I'm like, sure. Here you
Fuck
go.
yeah, dude. You can do my laundry for $5.
So, but oh my God, that summer. So first day I go out, I had like, I think it was Diego was following me, which was, I thought was weird because they're having a B contract follow me the first day. And I had 10 customers that day.
Oh shit.
And I'm like,
Is that your best day ever?
hell yeah. No, yeah. As far as like, in my, like, I don't think I ever had 10 customers that first day. And Jessica Lackey, who took all of my stat calls that first summer, and she took all of them the second summer. And I remember saying something like, damn, Larry, did you just have your best day in customers ever? And I'm like, I think I did, Jessica. I think I
Damn.
did. So second day, we had the first year follow me, Josh. And that's when I learned, because we were just talking like, so Josh, you go to LSU, you got any relationships or anything like that? And he goes, no, not really. I'm like, oh, just, are you chasing after any girls or anything? He's like, no, not really. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, about that, I suck dick. And I'm like, oh,
Okay.
so you're gay? And he goes, yes. I thought it was obvious. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. And so
Wait, this is Diego?
no, this is Josh. I didn't
Oh,
know
but
Josh was gay. I knew Diego was gay. So
dude.
yeah, so that was a fun Sunday meeting going in. It's like, oh, so Jess, were you just trying to help me explore my sexuality this summer too? Just a lot of self, realization going on, my B summer in Southwest. She goes, Larry, Southwestern is about learning as much as you can about yourself. And I'm like, cool.
Awesome.
It wasn't that big a deal, but it was just like, I didn't realize it at the time. But I had another like 9 or 10 customer day that day, and I was killing it. So third day I was out there by myself, and I knock on this door at noon or so, and I knock on it, and I see this. It's got the those stain, like the, not stained glass, but that glass that's really hard to see, like you can't
Yeah.
see through, but you can see when stuff's like on the other
Yeah.
side of it. So I knock on the screen door, knock on the door, and I see this kid, about waist height or whatever, just looking at me through that window. And I'm thinking, hey, go get your mom. He doesn't respond or anything. He's just staring at me through this window. We can't even make each other out. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll see you later this evening. And so I go back to my car, make a few more sales that day, and then it's like 6:30 or something. I come back to that house. It's dark. It's dusk. It's not quite dark, but it's dusk, and I see extra cars in the yard. So I'm like, there they are. I'll just stop by and swing by. And the mom is out on the porch, and she goes, hey, were you the one that was here earlier?
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, yeah, that was me. She goes, perfect. Can you just wait right here for a second? My son will talk to you for a second. I just got to go get something. And I'm like, all right, no problem. So this kid comes out, sits on like their porch swing talking, and we're just shooting the shit. And then I'm just thinking, is your mom coming back out here? After a couple minutes, I'm just asking, he goes, yeah, she just had to do something real quick. She'll be out in a second. And then right after I asked that, not long after I asked that, I hear this vehicle, like fucking eagle crying all the way down the road, like, and then I see the headlights on this like single cab, like mini truck or whatever, like an old Ford Ranger coming down, turn down the road that this house's driveway sits on, and then I see him like tear ass all the way up, slam on the brakes, turn down the dirt road, and I'm like, man, that guy's in a rush. Like, I don't know what's going on. That guy's trying to get somewhere. And then I realized, hey, that's this driveway. And so I'm like, I kind of step off the porch and I go walk out, and he goes, hey, you stay right the fuck there. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, were you the one that was here earlier today trying to break into the house, trying to back door and then picking up the garage? And I'm like, no, that was not me. And he goes, well, you better not fucking move. I'll blow your brains out with this fucking shotgun I've got right back here. And I'm like, all right, where do you want me to stand, sir?
Whatever.
And so I'm there, being held hostage on this person's property. And I'm like, can I, and I asked, like, can I call the cops? And he goes, don't worry, son, they're already on their way. And I'm like, cool, do you mind if I sit down? And he goes, yeah, I don't give a fuck. Just don't fucking leave this place. And I'm like, all right, I can't because you're right behind my truck, but oh, okay.
Sure.
So 10, 15 minutes goes by. I'm like freaking the fuck out. I'm like, I'm being like, he hasn't pointed a gun at me or anything. So that's nice. But obviously holding me against my will, never fucking left the truck or anything, just watching me the whole time. And so the cops finally pull up. The whole fucking department pulls up, my dude. Like every car in this tiny ass town, fucking sirens going the whole goddamn time on this mountain in fucking eastern Tennessee. And so they pull up, and I'm like, hey, officers.
How's it going?
What's going on? So he goes, hey, son, well, I just need you to stand aside right now, and just go from there. And so they end up coming back to me. They let me sit in my truck, and he goes, you're not going to go anywhere, son, are you? I'm like, no, sir, I am not moving anywhere. Here's my ID, whatever, just whatever. So they end up coming back. Well, son, let me tell you what we've been told happened. We were told by that youngin' up there that you came around lunchtime, and after knocking on the door, you jiggled the handle, and when you realized that was locked, you then went around into the backyard and tried opening the back door. And then you found out that one was locked too. And then you went all the way back around up front and you tried the garage. And it was at that time that, well, this little young man right here had to push the garage door back down to keep you out of the house. And that's when you tore ass and left. And I'm like, what? No, here's what actually happened. I went on that door, I knocked on it, saw him in the window, said, hey, go get your mom, knock on it again, and then I left. He goes, well, is your word against his, son? And I'm like, well, it is our word against his word, but that's my story. Like, that's what happened. He goes, well, good news for us is we're going to learn the truth because we're going to fingerprint every single place, up here. And we're going to find out which doors you actually touched. And then after this, like the peanut gallery comes out, and by the peanut gallery, I mean the mom. She comes out and goes, oh, hell no, that's the one that ain't lying. The one that lies is the other one, and he wasn't even here today. If he had told me this stuff, I wouldn't have believed him 1 minute. But no, that's the good son. He don't lie one bit. I'm like, oh my God, shut up. So anyway, they end up like conversing a little bit more. He goes, well, son, let me ask you this. This is the inspector or whatever. He walks up and goes, tell me something, son. Did you see that no trespassing sign at the front of on the post up there? And I go, no. He goes, well, unfortunately, that because of that no trespassing sign, we got you in for criminal trespassing. And I'm like, okay, what's that mean? He goes, well, that means we got to take you down to the station.
Shit.
And we got to, do our due process. And we got to, do what we need to do and continue a criminal investigation and potentially other things. And like breaking and entering and things of that nature. He goes, okay, well, I'm more than happy to follow you down. I mean, is it all right if I drive and you just have the fleet of the police officers follow me down? He goes, well, that'll be up to the woman. Let's owner of the house that that your truck's sitting on their land. He rolls over and she goes, hey, you gonna let this guy drive? And he goes, oh hell yeah, get that Chevy off my truck. I hate off my land. I hate fucking Chevrolet. Get that piece of shit out of here. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I get down, and it is a long ass drive to the police station because like the way the Bledsoe County is, you got one mountain range on this side, on the west side, and one mountain range on the east side. And I was on the west side, so it was I had to go all the way down the mountain into the Sequatchie Valley, which is where Pikeville was, and go to the police station. So I pull up into the police station, I get out, do all my good stuff, and we start the process and they go, do you get one phone call? And I'm like, I'm going to call Wade. So I call Wade and I go, I'm getting arrested for criminal trespass. And he goes, what? So he's doing all this stuff. I hand the phone to them. Can I talk to the police? So they have a conversation or whatever. And he goes, well, so anyway, I still have to get booked or whatever. And they let me have my cell phone so I can still text and all this stuff's going on, all that kind of stuff. And eventually we go through everything. I end up doing the whole fingerprint. I'm cutting up. I'm making everybody in the police station like fucking die laughing. We're having a good old time. Like I end up paying the bondsman, and the bondsman, he was a chill dude. I end up running into him later in the summer. And then I saw like the county, I don't know if it was like chief of police or what his position was, but he was a real cool dude. And I ended up running into him later that summer too. But it was crazy, after they had all left and everything, the two guys that were booking me were like, so what, you're just selling books door to door? And I'm like, yeah, these are all the families that I've already talked to. It's like, well, that's my sister. Let me see what the hell, they got. And I'm like, yeah. So I end up demoing and fucking sell one of those cops that was like
No.
fingerprinting me that night. So I'm like, well, that's an 11:30 stop time right there. Hell yeah. So I end up getting back that night. I do my stat call and it's like, why were you late to stats? I'm like, well, I was getting arrested and had to pay bond.
Sorry.
And everything. Sorry. And it's like, oh my God, do you need to follow tomorrow? I'm like, nah, I'm gonna go work tomorrow. And they're like, okay, well, good luck. I end up so that week I had my best week ever that week, my first week. And I had people
Your first week of your second summer?
My first week of my second summer, I had my best week, beat any week that I ever had in my first summer. And it was crazy because like that was after getting arrested. And I was dealing with that all summer of like, there's rumors of a guy running around trying to break into houses and stuff. I'm like, that ain't me. So dude,
Okay.
like, but that happened the first Wednesday of the first selling week of my 11 or 12 week summer. 11-week summer.
So you go out, had like a 10 customer day, best day ever, 9 customer day, best day ever. Day 3 of your second summer, first week, get arrested, still sell to the cop that arrested you.
That night. Yeah. Not the one that arrested me, just one of the guys that was booking me. So like doing the processing.
Then you go back to work the next day.
Yeah. I had my best week ever that first week.
Then of your entire career?
Oh, no. Like up to that moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then you had PR issues, but then the cops probably knew who you were, so you didn't have to worry about that.
Oh, well, yeah, like they knew who I was, but that doesn't stop rumors from going around.
Sure. But when people call the police, they're like, oh, it's just Larry, right? Like
people don't call the police up in the mountains of Tennessee, Andres.
Hey, sometimes up in the upstate area of New York, people call the police on the brown guy. So I had different kind of PR issues.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but what I'm saying is like, as far as like in trouble with the cops, that probably didn't happen again in that town anyway. Right. Because
no, not really. I mean, I think I might've had another run in with them later, but like I was becoming like a county sensation in Bledsoe County. Like I was the guy that was listening to Disney music on the loudest possible setting, driving around with my book bag on the side view mirror of my truck. So people knew instantly, like there's a white Colorado and there's a bag hanging from his driver's side rear view mirror when I'm driving around. If I had a first year, they were, the bag bitch. So, like I had people knew at least one version of the rumors that was going around in that town by like week 3 or 4.
That makes sense.
Makes
sense. But then was that the best week of that summer, or did you have
like it got better every week from that summer. Like I over doubled from summer 1 to summer 2.
Oh, dope.
So yeah, like I think I hit double growth. I can't remember. But yeah, it was It was awesome. Like I was one of those, what superstar bees or whatever that came out. Like I was one of the top bees that came back that grew from that first summer. I wasn't like, there was another girl that like so killed it. I think she was in West Virginia or something like that. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but yeah, like I was one of the top bees, like as far as growth wise from summer 1 to summer 2. So
Murdering.
yeah, it was like there was so much that happened that summer. It was crazy. Just yeah, like yeah, that was just the start of it. Was getting arrested on day 3.
Big.
So,
Moving on.
but had a great summer that summer for sure.
Damn, dude, that's crazy. So, before we get to some more stories, let's interject here real quick.
Yeah.
Tangent switch. What are you up to now? What do you do now? What do you
Yeah.
tell us about? And if you would like to, you can tell us about like how your experience in Southwestern helped you in your job and doing what you're doing,
For
or
sure.
even like get to where you were. As you're talking, I'm gonna get a drink real quick, and then
Yeah.
I
Don't
can.
worry, I'll carry the conversation, Andres. You got it. You got it. I got this. So I currently am a full-time internal recruiter for Spanx. I don't know if you're familiar with Spanx, but I'm also a part-time male model and fit tester for them too. And I want to thank all those summers of living off of the land and learning how to get free food from Mrs. Jones to help me get to the sweet figure that I am in right now, to be able
Absolutely.
to fit into
Of course.
those men's compression shirts and underwear that Sarah Blakely has created for us. Yeah. So, but no, I'm just a fit tester. I probably divulged too much in my NDA by saying that, I try men's products. But
Of
no,
course.
it's yeah, I'm a full-time internal recruiter at Spanx. It's funny, another book girl also works here, Jamie White. She works as Sarah Blakely's like PR for LinkedIn. So, but what's crazy is I didn't hear about the job through her. I heard the job through another person that I networked. And the only reason I know that guy is I knew him because I got into that job through a guy I sold books with in West Virginia. My roommate there. I'm like, dude, I'm ready to get a new job. I hear recruiting's pretty good. He goes, dude, I got a job for you. Come work with me. So that's how I got into recruiting.
And
What's that?
when was this?
That was going on like 4 or 5 years ago now.
Oh,
4
so
years
you've been
ago.
doing this for a bit. You get a
Yeah,
whole.
I've been doing recruiting for a bit. I've been at Spanx for about a year, a little over a year now, but I've been recruiting for 3 or 4 years now.
That's cool.
So, yeah, I love recruiting. It's cuz I'm still like service minded, and that's the biggest thing that I got from Southwestern is learning how to be service minded. You don't have to be nervous when your mind's on service,
Right.
and just really going out and trying to go into that mindset of every call of I'm trying to help this person like realize their dream of, well, before Spanx, just trying to get a better job and better their situation.
Right.
And at Spanx, like this is like the dream job for hundreds of women to work at Spanx. I don't know. Are you familiar with Spanx,
No,
Andres?
I mean I know what Spanx is, but I don't know the impact that it has on in the female culture, I guess, or as like,
Gotcha.
I'm not familiar that that's like a big deal.
We're not women, so we just don't understand the cultural impact of Spanx. In fact, I remember getting that call of like, you want to work you want to work at Spanx? I'm like, you mean the women's underwear and leggings company? Like,
Yes,
why do they need
I
an IT
recognized that,
recruiter?
and then after that, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but I work for all of their IT recruitment services. So yeah, if you know how to work computers good, I'm trying to find you to come work at Spanx, essentially.
So shout out to anybody listening to this. If this fits your description for what you
Oh,
need.
that's as broad a description as they come. We can definitely have a much more like detailed conversation to go over the minutia of what I'm looking for at Spanx. So
You got open air, man. Feel free.
that's right. So main thing is I need you to be a better looking guy than me because I can't fit test everything. We need more good looking dudes to come in.
We'll do that though.
I know I'm
Everyone
just
else
so
is
good.
qualified now.
Right?
All right, there goes a plug.
There we go. But no, that's what I've gotten most from Southwestern was just having that service minded, knowing how to get to where you need to go in the conversation and be able to have, you know, that follow up of understanding where you are in the conversation, finding the need. Because back in my agency days, you would be calling people and trying to sell them on the opportunity. Like, it's a lot easier to do that at Spanx because people have heard about Spanx and it's a great company to work for in Atlanta. So it's a lot easier to sell. But back when I was selling, you know, contract roles out in fucking Idaho, dude, that was not an easy sell. You just get them on the phone, you know, get through your whole spiel. I need to know, you know, so tell me what your needs are. Like, how do you want to grow in your career? What technologies you want to use? Like, what's important to you, you know, getting in and then like, great. And now I'm going to have this job that fills maybe not all of it, but I'm going to at least fill, you know, 2 or 3 of these things that you're looking for. So just that whole sales cycle of finding the need and filling the need, you know, just came naturally to me. The hardest part for me moving from direct selling into recruiting was doing it all over the phone, you know, and just getting that phone, you
Yeah.
know, acumen down.
But you full time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that should have helped a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but like full timing, like you did that on fucking like fucking autopilot. I was playing games, so I'm like, yeah, you just gotta go. You want to hear about an opportunity? You know, it's like we're we were playing Dark Souls, playing Dark Souls while we were doing, you know, calls and everything like that. So yeah, like that was nothing. Like I'm actually having a full-fledged conversation with these people in like a 10-15 minute call, trying to figure out everything I need to do. So that way, because with agency recruiting, it's all about numbers, which is another thing. You got to hit KPIs. You got to get in X amount of calls so you can get X amount of like candidates to submit, so you can get those subs. So, you know, you got your demos, sits, so, and calls and all that kind of stuff. So you still have to hit these KPIs. You know, even on the book field, you've got your demo goals and your sit down goals and all that good stuff. You got that in recruiting too. You still got to do that on a daily basis. And depending on the priority of the role, you know, that's how you would have to do. A good day would be 2 subs, or a sub in the morning, 2 subs in the afternoon on the agency day. So getting 3, maybe 4 subs if you're pulling a little bit extra time. In full timing internally, it's a little bit less volume, but I'm also rejecting a lot more people. Like on the agency side, I was focused on finding a job for anybody that I had gotten a hold of because they were good. Now at Spanx, it's less finding anybody and finding them a job. It's more finding who's a fit for this particular
Right.
job.
And
So
that experience with Southwestern for sure like helps you connect because you found a need and you found like that glue or like whatever they were looking for a lot quicker, making that connection way faster.
yeah, like those skills 100% transferable. Recruiting is a really great transition. Like I would recommend anybody that's kind of looking for something, like go into recruiting. It's so much easier to hear, no, I'm not interested in a job on the phone than knocking on a door and hearing, you know, Johnny say, my mom's busy and she doesn't want to talk to you right now, but I see her right there. Just tell her to come to the door. No.
You know, get your mom.
Bam. Getting slammed by a fucking 12-year-old or whatever at the door. That's the
Good
worst.
times.
I
Good times.
drove 12 miles to see this woman. She told me to come back. Ugh.
So okay. So in your time in there then, in your time in Southwestern, what would you say, and maybe this leads into the conversation as to why you left, but
Mm-hmm.
what are some things that, and this is how the conversation with Steve and Josh kind of took off, was what are some things that you think that at the time that you were in Southwestern, because we know it's changed and it's a different
Yeah.
company, but at the time that you were in Southwestern, what was a couple of things you would say you changed?
So at the time, like our a lot of it was obviously having it, like the internet was the new hotness. Like we had stupid objections like, you know, anybody can edit anything on Wikipedia. You know, so dealing with stupid stuff like that. But obviously they created the website, so that changed while I was there. We had like, oh, we have an online product for you to use. We have CDs and stuff to use on the computer. So they were starting to make some of the transition. I guess the biggest thing for for me is just how that I wish they would change is just how they treat people that left for whatever reason. Like that's always been the biggest, and I realized it too because my roommate, my third summer, came out for a fourth summer and quit like week 2 or 3 with his girlfriend who also came out on the book field. And I was gonna live with that guy the rest of the year. Like that was my roommate in college and Quentin's roommate. So we were all 3 living together. And I remember like being told, I'm not gonna say any names, but just like, dude, you're gonna fucking live with that quitter?
Yeah,
And
that attitude.
yeah, that attitude. And it's like, and it wasn't until then that I realized just how rough, because I was maintaining that, like, yeah, it's like, fuck, we gotta live with Alex, you know? And then we get back and me and Alex talk, is like, so why'd you quit? He goes, I just was fucking done. Didn't want to do it anymore. And I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. You want to get a beer? And
Yeah.
it was like, it was then that I realized this is dumb how we treat people that leave. Like, like obviously you do what you do on the book field, you know, where you write everyone's name on a watermelon and then crush it or something like that. It's like they're gone from our memories until the end of the summer and then they're regular people again. Those early champions are exactly that, early champions.
Yep.
So, you know, but like reaching out as not just like if in leadership, I think they did have like some of the leaders would try and reach out to those people that quit, you know,
Yeah.
but like not creating this stigma of how people quit.
Yeah.
And like people are just getting ostracized for making a decision to not come back or leave. I think that's something that I wish would change, and maybe it has in some organizations, maybe it's changed a little bit, but just like that feeling alone is something that I think is the biggest thing that I have like with Southwestern is how they treated people that left. I like it. Yeah.
Well, I that's good. I agree. There has been similar sentiment from other people that we've had on the cast or that we have coming up on the cast. Um, from the standpoint of the person that quit during the summer, I can understand that being a little bit more frustrating. I don't know that that person should be shunned for the rest of their life, but it's definitely frustrating when a manager leaves in the middle.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
and one of my first years that I recruited, Matt, like he shouldn't have come out that second summer, but he did. And one of the first things he did when he quit, it was he called me and he said, dude, I am so sorry. I just can't do this anymore. Like he
yeah.
was, and it was because like there was some
Well,
shit going on with Matt. He had some like drugs going on and he should not have come out at all. Like he joined a
yep.
fraternity in the wrong kind of way.
Yep.
So like, but there was just situations like that. And like these people quit for legit reasons, whether it be emotionally,
Right.
whether it be physically, whether it be financially, whether it be, there's just a different opportunity. Like, do I think Southwestern is a great opportunity? Hell yes. Do I think it's the best fucking thing ever? For some people, yeah, but not for
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree. Mhm.
so like that's like I think the biggest thing is how people leave Southwestern and how they're like how they're ostracized, which part of that too is it's you gotta it's hard to keep drinking the Kool-Aid when you see people leave and that they were like people you look up to or people that it's really hard. And I can understand why the system has done it. Like the system works, obviously people are still top producers, people are still doing well, but there's this gap of it's me and you, it's not me and you anymore, it's you or me and my career at
Right.
Southwestern.
Well, and so on that, so the people when you have a manager that leaves midsummer,
Mm-hmm.
that's frustrating. So I understand the frustration in that. However, there's a couple of things to that. One, like on the manager side, it's like, dude, why did you commit knowing fully well you were going to get like getting yourself into? It's more frustrating because they already know. Like when a
Mm-hmm.
first year quits, you're like, okay, it could be that we did a really not a good job of
Yeah.
like preparing, right? When a manager quits, it's like, no, bro, you've been now. On the other hand of that, there were for sure And I think this is still sort of a problem. I'm not going to put a lot of weight in that yet because I haven't been in Southwestern for the last couple of years, but I'm connected a little bit to my brother.
Mm-hmm.
But I can say that like, even up to 2016 when I left, like there were for sure people that went and sold again that should not have sold again.
I was one of them.
Like and this can be seen in the fact that the majority of people that we've talked on the podcast and or outside in the past, a lot of them say that I stayed one summer too long. Like I sold 4, should have been 3, right? Or 2. Like I should have quit the summer before I actually quit. That being said too, though, there is something to be said about the people that just decide to not come out willingly. Like they're just
Mm-hmm.
like, yep, that was my last summer. I said that was going to be my last summer and I'm done. And the way that those people are treated is definitely not good, whether it's by accident or on purpose or
Yeah.
because people are, I've heard people say, oh, it's because, book people are busy. It's like, yeah, but like, I thought we were like friends. I didn't know we were more business partners than we were friends,
Yeah.
um,
Well,
or whatever
that
that feeling is.
and I feel the same way about first years. I don't feel that first years should be ostracized either. Like I remember feeling like only need to hang out with Southwestern people because those are the best people that I know.
Right.
That sort of thing. So it's like creating this sense of elitism where I'm better than other people because
Right.
I sold books kind of thing. And it's
Yeah.
just that mentality, it sinks in with some people more than others. And it's just not a good thing to harbor with,
Right.
And promote, unfortunately. Like
Yeah.
it's one thing to say, hey, these are great people, but you need to have other networks of friends,
Yeah.
to establish, and they're just as good of people, as book people,
Yeah.
because that's the best thing about Southwestern are the people. Like that's what keeps people coming back. Is like,
Yes, that's
I
exactly right.
don't want to give up all these relationships with these people because I know once I'm done, I won't see them again until they're done too, kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Or maybe never again because they were good friends, but we only hung out at get backs
Yeah,
or
at
whatever.
Getbacks or Sizzler
Um,
or Frizzler or
yeah,
whatever.
and the thing with that too though is you're right. Nobody's like Southwestern people are better people just because they sold books or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're 100% right. But there is something to be said about the environment that is created when you hang out with book people.
Oh, 100%.
Um,
Yeah. It's
which is
infectious.
which is what makes this podcast fun for me is because it's like we're connecting on something like I've never met you before and we're connecting like I've known you forever, right?
Yeah.
Based on just this experience alone.
It's just me, Andres. It's not our shared experience of torture and suffering and selling books. Don't kid
It's not
yourself.
shared PTSD.
Right?
This isn't therapy.
Right?
But no, but there is something because I do distinctly remember, like especially after my first summer, because
Eliab, what's up? Sorry, I got the comments up. So
what's up?
Oh, and I'm 26 minutes late to saying hey to Becca.
Yeah, I wonder if Becca's still on. If you guys have questions for Larry, let us know. Eliav, we're looking forward to having you on this.
Dude, I'm looking forward to that episode. Like Eliav and I had the most epic game of Sorry one time in Colorado on like our ski trip, or I guess it's called Frizzler now. But we used to do those ski trips before it was called officially sanctioned by Southwestern, called Frizzler.
Yeah.
And Eliav and Kelsey Keener and myself had the most epic, I think it was like 2 hours long game of Sorry in a fucking bar in the middle of like Vail, Colorado. It was the most epic game ever.
Vail is beautiful. My brother got married there.
Oh, it's so good.
To a book girl, which is hilarious.
Sorry for that tangent, but
no, it's no big. But no, like, as I was saying, I distinctly remember after my first summer memories of going back to these get backs and meeting with these people, or even just having like meetings with some of the people that was that were in the group of you, and then you would go hang out with like your friends from high school, or you go hang out with your friends from college, from class, or whatever. And it was fun, and it never was a bad moment.
Mm-hmm.
But there was something about being with a group of people from Southwestern that just like, I don't know, it was just different. It was definitely a different vibe.
Yeah.
And so it did make it hard to leave because you would notice that you didn't hang out with the people that I had left before you. And
right.
So it's like now you're kind of scared to leave too. And I feel like some of that also has to do with the fact that people just kind of stay too long. And nobody's really asked whether they should. I mean, after my first summer, Lee McCroskey would give a part after at checkout that was like, the question isn't, will you come back or not? The question is, should you? And you really need to ask yourself that. And that they did that, and I don't think people took that to heart like they should have, because there was definitely people who were like, "Dude, you should not have come back to Starbucks.
I don't think
This
I've
is the
ever
best."
sat in that session. Like, interesting.
Yeah, I remember that session, and I was like, "This is a great question. Should I?"
Well,
I was
what's
like, "I
crazy
should."
is at the same time as that session, you also have your DSMs talking about you're coming next year, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I think that's it. I've said this before. One of the thing I think that makes Southwestern sales, like cycle of sales, or the sales training, unique or different, if there is such a thing, is the buying atmosphere, right? The genuine like idea of like, hey, if you buy, that's cool. If not, that's okay too. It's a numbers game, right?
mhm.
But that buying atmosphere was hardly was applied to people when being talked to about coming back. It felt like they were saying, "Oh, you don't have to come back," but there was this complete feeling of like, "Oh, sounds like I have to, otherwise I'm going to get shunned or
Well,
something."
what was really good too is some DSMs would be really good at, well, you need to earn your right to come back. You're not allowed to come back
Right,
unless I say so. So,
right.
like, then it became this era of exclusivity, about it sometimes. And do I think some people were told they shouldn't come back? Sure, but I don't think that it was told enough.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
That's fair. That is a thing. Some of that has gotten better. I feel like, at least in my brother's org, it's something that I feel like has
okay.
gone really well. And I can't speak for the whole company, so, but because I'm so connected in that way, I can say from that side at least that
Okay.
um, he's a DSM now, and he does a good job of like letting kids go when they should. Um, so it's interesting. It's interesting how things have changed, especially because the internet too. There's like a whole different problem.
What? You mean are there Glassdoor reviews for Southwestern?
Oh yeah, there's like a girl that went on there was like some sorority girl that went on YouTube and was like, Southwestern's a scam, and she like quit like week 4.
Oh man. We had
And
like did you ever hear about Southwestern Company Truth?
oh yeah, that was a
Yeah,
thing.
that was a Georgia student. That was a Georgia student.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it's crazy. But no, sorry to interrupt. Like, but you were saying like there was an issue going on with
I mean,
reviews and
it's still an issue now because kids will Google it. So like the campaign that they've had to put out to kind of like stay ahead of that it's something that I feel like they're constantly battling.
dude, it's called SEO, search engine optimization. Just pay a guy, a few $100s an hour for a week, and the dude will have your SEO up to like, come on, Dustin Hillis, you can do it.
I
So
think Ryan Davis is in charge of that, and I think it's gotten better. But
Ryan
like,
Davis, Ryan, I know you remember me, bastard. Bookfield Bulletin. I gave you some content for that Bookfield Bulletin, Ryan Davis. So do yourself a favor and get a decent SEO guy. Call me. I can connect you with some SEO contractors, my dude.
yeah, that's it. So yeah, it's interesting how it's all changed. So then, why did you leave? Was that because in that spec, like what was the story of that happening?
So fifth summer, I got off schedule.
Woohoo!
Woo! Boring. Boring shit. I got off schedule fifth summer. Which sucks too, because that was a fucking kick-ass org. Like Amy LaValle was the OL, Jenny Newt was the AOL.
Oh damn!
Like I loved my roommates. That org was fucking kicking ass. And I was just fucking in my own shit. Whatever. You know, it sucked. It really sucked. For me, because I was taking stat calls from kids and Randy fucking walking his ass off, hitting Sizzler as a walker. Dude, fucking Randy. Randy Mosley. If Randy Mosley's on here, that dude, miss that kid. You also had some other great top first years come out of there, like Katie Collins was in that org.
Ah,
Um, yeah, I was the recognition and execs guy. I mean, I fucking love doing that stuff. And I stuck it out and you know kept up appearances because you don't want to be that multi-year manager that quit midway through the summer and just left.
it's
Uh,
bad.
so,
That's the worst. That the only thing that's worse than that
but
is an OL that quits.
so what's crazy is because of the topic that we were talking about before about being ostracized for, leaving, is I wanted to avoid that altogether. And I'm like, Rao, I want to keep selling. I know I'm in Kentucky. Get me some new territory. And he goes, we'll have you sell in Arkansas. So I didn't go back to college. I stayed out in Arkansas. I moved from Kentucky to Arkansas to finish out and sell another few weeks. Didn't go back to class. Still haven't got my degree. Started working a little bit and then got off schedule out there. And I just went and checked out like October. I remember I was out there at least till September because I had my birthday. And I remember getting some calls. It's like, what the fuck are you doing out there? I'm like, oh, I'm working. Not really. Delaying the inevitable failure and people learning about it. And so I go back and check out. I owed the company money and I like fell off the face of the planet for like I didn't respond to people reaching out to me. Like I was in rough shape. I was depressed for a while because I had failed in every sense of the word. I'd failed at books. I had failed at getting my degree. I had failed at everything. And it sucks. I went and met with Rao later that fall. He goes, dude, Larry, what the fuck happened? And I'm like, yeah, it sucks. So that was a tough conversation I had with him. And that's the last I ever heard from Mark Rao. And not because of his lack of trying. I just ghosted everyone. Anyone that reached out to me, even from books. I was like, yeah, thanks. Yeah. So I fell off. I at best strained relationships, good relationships that I had, at worst completely damaged irreparably some relationships, although I don't think they were irreparable. I know I still have good relationships with all the book people, out there. But what's crazy is I delayed that failure even further. Like I just refused. So I wanted to go back. So I did family heritage for 5 years or almost 5 years after that and was not super successful at that either. Was hardly successful at all. So I delayed that for 5 years, even then until I got into a real career of recruiting. So it's like, and what's crazy is it's not anything to the fault of anyone in family heritage. Like everyone that was like reaching out to me and helping me, they were helping me in the best way possible. I was just lying through my teeth, like taking fake it till you make it to an extreme level, and just lying.
Yeah.
And it was all because of this fear of how people would judge me, and they knew, but like they and I don't fault them at all. Like it was 100% me. I just had my head up my ass. I was scared, and thankfully I went out to Texas and worked with Dylan and Quentin again, selling insurance. Worked with their internship program for a little bit with Family Heritage, and then when I left Texas, that's when I went into recruiting after that. But it was just catching myself in this loop of failure over and over again, and just not wanting to get out of that, and just apologize. Just sorry, Amy. Sorry, Jenny. I really sucked up that summer. Love you guys though. And but yeah, like I've spoken to Jenny a couple times since then. I've spoken to Amy a couple times since then. And then yeah, I still like what's crazy though is I was so scared of being ostracized. I didn't even go to weddings of like Dylan's wedding or Quentin's wedding. Like I was just so scared of that and having to tell them that I failed. Like, so I didn't go, and I regret that 100% to this day. But like, it's because I just felt like I was going to be ostracized the entire time. Because I knew I wanted to ostracize people, like Alex, my roommate. And then I'm like, oh, duh. But
it
it
happens
was
to you
just,
too.
it just fucking, like I was an idiot. It was just these fears. And anytime you're alone and thinking about these fears, the irrational thoughts come up. But yeah, I was just not in a good place.
Yeah.
So
I get that. I relate to that hardcore. My third summer I was way off schedule. Definitely not in the same good place mentally. Like just much shit, life stuff. So I get it. I got kicked out of school. Same thing. So I feel it for sure. That's a feeling it's hard to understand people who are in that feeling. And until you feel that way, when you see other people who sold books and you hear this story, you're like, bro, no worries. It doesn't matter. As I've met alumni randomly or just through other like friends of like at a wedding or something like that, I've noticed more and more that nobody gives a shit
Yeah, no, I've been to weddings
at
since,
all.
and like, it's like, Larry, where you been? I'm like, I've been fucking doing shit, man. Let me tell you all about it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And,
it's
and nobody gives a shit. Like
no, they don't.
nobody
But
cares.
but like yeah, I just fucking shut myself off, put myself in a self-fulfilling prophecy,
Yep. It
and
happens that way.
yeah, it fucking sucks. Lost so
Cool.
much time that I could have been hanging out with some cool people.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd been good. And people let go of that shit, especially after they leave. They let
Yeah,
go of that. So it's pretty dope. Okay. So hang on. So you told me you had several pony stories, like or a couple of stories, like a
yeah,
few.
yeah.
I want to hear some of those. And then whenever you're ready to tell the pony story, let me know. But now we're
Okay,
going to start getting into some funny, it doesn't even have to be pony stories, just like funny
yeah.
shit that happened. Any ways that you had fun in the book field,
So like,
whatever
I
it
had
is.
fun on the book field. Like people were always about, oh, I read motivational books. I read the scrolls. I'm like, fuck that, man. I hate reading. I'm not gonna read shit. I'm gonna listen to like like to be on my music, like my playlist. It had to do like some one of the following. They had to make me feel like a kid again. They had to get me pumped or excited, or I had to know all of the words and sing them at the top of my lungs. So that way people would know. So if they fit into those three criteria, like
Damn it.
they made my playlist. So my playlist was random shit. So like pretty much every Disney movie soundtrack, like with the sing-alongs, like I was singing, like people would stop me, be like, "Are you that guy that's like singing Aladdin at the top of your lungs?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, that is. I can show you the world. Take a look at these books." So
Yeah. Okay. Now hold on. Now pause. This is a tangent that it's important. This is
okay,
important. What's
okay.
the best Disney soundtrack that you, in your opinion? And this is important.
Why is this important? Are you gonna like tell me why this is
I need to
important?
know. I need
And
to
then
know because it tells me about who you are as a person. Like what you think is the best. It's an opinion, obviously, so there's no right answer. But
no, there is
based
a
on
right
that,
answer.
okay. Let's just start by which movie has the best soundtrack, and then which individual song is the best song of all the
Okay,
songs.
okay, I'll give you that. So best soundtrack.
On three.
Okay, we'll
Okay.
do a visual. We'll do a visual cue. So
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Aladdin.
Hercules. Damn it. No.
All right, best song. Here we
Okay.
go. 3, 2, 1. Gaston.
Hawaiian roller coaster ride. Hawaiian roller coaster ride from Lilo and Stitch is the best Disney song ever put in a Disney movie ever.
Mm-mm.
It never
I mean,
makes you feel bad. It always makes you feel like a
it's
kid
it's
again.
good. It's good, but it's no Gaston. Like, so the villains of every movie that have a song, it is the best song on the soundtrack. Ursula,
Oh.
best song on the Little Mermaid soundtrack. Next one, Gaston, even though he's the true hero of the movie, because the Beast stole Belle.
No, no. Tarzan, the best song in the Tarzan soundtrack is Trashing the Camp. And that is not by the villain.
Does the villain even have a song in that episode, like that
Exactly.
movie
And
though?
it's one of the best. I was going to say Tarzan instead of Hercules
Like
almost.
Tarzan is a great, like Phil Collins. One, I mean, we can talk music all the time, but no, like Gaston, best Disney song ever.
Okay.
Uh,
All right. Well, now
like
that we've got those answers wrong,
yes.
we can go.
So,
You didn't have Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride in your soundtrack song
oh,
books.
I
So
definitely had that in my, like, these songs were not excluded. They were all in there. Like, like I remember, like I even made some of those Disney songs into execs, like the like Let Me See Your Seven Dwarves. I was the one that created that. I created Let Me See Your Seven Dwarves, and it was literally squatting down like a midget,
what's that you say?
yelling "Hi ho," and then oh, dude, like I was the one that did that. Like that was me.
That's baller.
So
That's pretty baller.
yeah,
All right. So you had Disney soundtracks. What else do you have?
um,
Well,
we had like if it was a song that I listened to growing up while I was a kid. So we're talking like early 90s, pretty much any Smash Mouth song, because you know all the words to all those songs, specifically Pacific Coast Party. I don't know why, but that song is so fucking corny. Like, just hammed
Yeah.
it up every time I sang it. Yeah, so lots of like old classics, getting pumped music, but also like really random internet like meme songs that, well, before even memes were really a thing. So stuff
Yeah.
like the Narwhal song,
Yep. The
like
end of the
that was
world.
yeah, stuff like that.
Ends of the
Those
world.
were on my
55.
playlist. Yeah, shiggity shiggity swag. It's the
55.
Mario twins. They look the same, but they're not.
Yes.
But yeah,
Class. That's
stuff.
a good way to have fun in the book field.
Oh man.
Did
So
you ever
yeah,
walk around with parents or with moms or anything like that? Like
like
just like
like in small like subtle ways, just for like me, like. But I was really present with people. Like, so I had fun talking to people and like learning random shit about them. So like I'd walk into a place and I'd see like a fucking mount on the wall of a deer, 12 point buck or something. And I'm like, damn, what'd you do to kill that? Run it over with your car? And they're like, hell no, I shot that. And, you know, just like do
yeah.
stupid jokes with them
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Um, like I would do the collectible game, you know, where you trade up.
Better, bigger and
Yeah, bigger,
better.
better.
What's the
Yeah,
best
that
thing you
one.
got from bigger and better?
A tire, a used tire.
Yeah. Dude, Shane Blick sold books. He's still selling. He's at DSM now, or almost DSM. I don't know. When is he still in? Got a MacBook.
What?
Yeah, from bigger
What did
and
he
better.
trade
I
to
don't
get a
know. I
MacBook?
think it was an iPad. I don't know, but he got a MacBook out of it. MacBook Air. I think he uses it still.
No, like, so that's the thing I have to say is, like, from my second summer on, I learned how to live off the land. I didn't buy lunch at all.
One of
Starting my
those.
second summer, I was
You have
like,
a granola bar I can buy for you?
Mrs. Jones, I forgot my lunch today. You wouldn't happen to have something I could buy if you, would you? Well, shoot, honey, what'd you want? I'm like, well, all right, let's go see. And like,
Pantry.
the way I kept positive was I would get something from everyone. Everyone. If I didn't get a sale, I got a bottle of water. I got a DVD. I got something. It'd be like, oh man, I haven't seen that movie yet. Is it good? You know, like just dropping hints. Like just get them to like me so much, and if they're
But
not
they give you
buying anything,
something.
they give me something. Like Quentin was the best at that. So Quentin, he'd come home with like fucking 24 packs of sodas and, you know, like racks of DVDs by the end of the summer. He'd like have so many goddamn movies. He took them as down payments for week orders. Shit,
Some
like,
people's kids,
oh man, it
man.
was so great. But
I got TVs and printers from the bigger and better game. Yeah, pogo stick ones. That was about
oh
it.
man, no, well, I was always working in the sticks, so people weren't gonna give up their
Yeah.
TV.
Oh no, that's where I got TV. It's fucking middle of nowhere, upstate New York.
Oh
Eh,
man.
we played. My brother and I. We speak Spanish, so we did like a translation where he was just selling books in Spanish, and so I would translate from English to Spanish, and then we figured out we could do it with people who didn't speak Spanish because they knew the sales talk. So you knew like at what point of the sales talk you'd be at, and I did that with some of my first years. So it's a good way to stay.
Oh, dude, having fun with people, like when people following you, is so much easier than having fun when you're by yourself. Like I would, like, if anything, I'd fuck with the people following me more than I did the moms. You know, you'd have,
This is Larry. He's got something to say.
yeah. I remember doing that my first time. It's like I purposely would fuck up the approach and be like, "What was I supposed to say?" And they look at me and they're like,
I don't know.
what? Like what? I remember one time I had to like, so I'm going to preface this by saying this: unscheduled book shits are the worst shits. Like
Oh, do you have a good poop story?
there's the tenets of schedule, and the one schedule they don't tell you about in sales school is the shit schedule. Your shit schedule should be immediately after you're done with breakfast at the breakfast spot. You poop at the breakfast spot and then you go. That's the last thing.
Now hang on. The Forest organization had that as a fifth schedule.
Y'all had a printout that said the poop schedule.
Yes, it literally was. It was eating, reading, selling, or working. What was the other one? There was 4 of them. And then the fifth schedule was your poop schedule, and we would train our first years to go poop at the breakfast spot so that they wouldn't have to. But regardless, we still had some good shit stories. But I'm sorry that Eagle Blitz wasn't like up to par.
I guess. I mean, it was definitely an unspoken like thing amongst, people's like, hey guys, just so you know, get that shit schedule on order.
Now here's the thing that you would still be on schedule to poop, but then every once in a while you'd be like, oh shit, literally, shit.
So I had a first year following me, and I'm like, oh my God, I got a shit so bad, but I don't have my toilet roll of paper. We just need to knock on this door. I don't care. So we get out, we knock on this door. My approach is, hey, my name's Larry, and I've really got to use the bathroom. Do you mind if I use it right there? Because it was a trailer, so I kind of knew the layout of the trailer and knew the bathroom would be right by the front door. And he goes, yeah, man, what's going on? Well, he'll tell you what's going on. I just can't really use it because I've really got to go. And he goes, yeah, no problem, whatever. And so it's like this, it's the first week of the summer, and this kid's like fucking up royally on the approach.
Just it up.
And I am blowing up this toilet. Like, it is audible how bad, and it's right by the front door. So everyone can hear what is going on in this bathroom. Everyone. It's in a single wide trailer, right, and they're just right there on the wooden freaking stairs. Like, it was rough. So as in between these like excrement and the fart noises coming out of there, like I hear the guy go, well, I ain't interested in whatever y'all doing. Once he's done blowing up the fucking toilet, y'all can get the hell on out of here. Remember the first year Josh, he's like, that's understandable, it sounds pretty disgusting.
Oh my God,
oh my God,
up this guy's bathroom.
So I get out, right, and I go, thank you so much, you have no idea how relieved I am now. He goes, no, I got an idea, trust me, son, get the fuck out of here. So we get out, we blew it up.
Oh my God.
So
it's always fun to blow up people's toilets like that.
So one of my favorite things that I've ever done on the book field is I convinced a dad that the Back to the Basics set was a real thing. Are you familiar with the Back to Basics is?
No. Tell me about this. This is
okay.
I'm too young for this.
So Back to the Basics is when you sell the Mufus and the My Books, so the My Book collection, to
like a
high school parents.
Yeah. Yes.
And so
yes.
I
never tried this, but I've heard of this.
Oh my God. Fucking perfect execution of this. So I had a first year following me. It was actually that Josh, the same one. This was an exciting second day for him on the book field because he went out his first day, sucked it up. But I remember getting out there and I see this like run down fucking place. I see a like grass all the way up to the chest. The house. It's like they ain't ever buying jack shit. I'm just gonna come up here, not get a demo in because it's almost gravy. I just need to kill some time, before the time goes. So pull up to this house, and the dad walks out. He's got a shirt halfway up, super overweight. Looks like he woke up from his mid-afternoon nap, and he goes, what you doing out here? It's like, oh, I'm the one that's talking to all the families in the area. I already had like 18 names on my list. So it was like, yeah, just check out all the folks in the right next door, all that kind of right down the road. I was, wow, you know a lot of people. And I'm like, well, and I do the typical dad objection of like, usually whenever I talk to the dads, they're the ones that, fix the car and mow the lawn. And I look at all the tall grass.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, that's right. And then, yeah, right. And then the mom deals with all the education. Is that how it is here too? And he goes, yeah. But she's not here right now. I'm like, okay, well, no worries. Well, let me show you something real quick. And you can tell me if I need to come back and show your wife if it's a good idea. And he goes, oh yeah. That's fine. So I'm like, this is the Back to the Basics program that we've got. And I remember seeing Josh, like, I looked at Josh and I couldn't look at him much more than this, but I remember him opening up his book and going, and he started flipping, looking for it. Like he didn't even know what was about to happen. And so, and then I pull out the My Book, right? And then Josh immediately shuts the note. Like I see him do this exact thing. He goes and covers his mouth, and his eyes are fucking huge. And that was the last I saw of Josh for the rest of the next 10 minutes. So
You sit down and
so I'm doing this porch demo. I pull out the my books and I go, so you know what they say about nowadays? Everything's so goddamn complicated in school. And we just need to bring it down to the basics. These kids are struggling with, everyday reading and writing and arithmetic. And he goes, you're right. I hear my wife talking about this all the time. Well, check this out. Boom. And I pull out the
my
my book,
books. No.
fucking hand-drawn pictures. I'm like, this will help out with their vocabulary. It's got, word and picture association right here, right there, right here. And then it's even got, they're not even teaching, cursive in schools anymore. Well, the great thing is you got your print letters right here so they can keep practicing for their non-cursive letters, because it's just a shame what's going on nowadays. He goes, yeah, that's right. And then I go even further and I pull out the fucking Mufu. And I'm like, and you know what's terrible about all these dictionaries is you can't understand any of the words, and they always say stuff like, see this other word, and you're flipping through the book so often. Well, here's a dictionary that breaks it down in ways that anybody can understand. So check this out. And I do the typical like cow, drinks milk, but no one knows how. They don't talk about it. Yeah. And then there was also like, what was it? Dinosaur was a good one. Although the best Mufu word is quack.
I never read quack. What was
quack? Is by far the best ones. Like quack is a word that ducks say or something like that. And quacks say it all the time. I don't know what it means, but it must be pretty important because they do it all the time. It's like some along the lines of those. Good. Obviously, I'm not the writer for Jim Henson that made that, but like something like I remember one night we were just going like sleepy drunk, like it's Saturday night on the book field. You're like, you got the Sunday meeting and you're just like, we're staying up and talking about stupid shit. And we're going through the Mufus, just finding funny words. Quack stuck with me forever. So quack is my favorite one. But anyway, going back to
good. Alligator was good.
Those are good. People like, I know some people that used with like, what was it? What was the first word? Apple or aardvark? Which one?
Aardvark.
Yeah. People went with aardvark, and it was because it was easy in at the beginning. But anyway, back to the my word set or the my set. I close him on everything. It's like, yeah. And the great thing is, this you get 6 whole books, and it helps with math and a lot of other stuff too. Check it out. And he goes, man, that's really good stuff. And I'm like, so you want me to come back and show your wife? He goes, hell yeah, come back. Or she's usually home around 7. I'm like, perfect.
All right.
So just let her know. What's her name? Get the pre-approach, and then we leave, and Josh is like, I look back at Josh. Josh is literally crying behind his books.
Epic.
Like crying, eyes bloodshot the whole time. I was demoing this guy for at least, a few minutes. And we get back to the car. We die laughing. Like we had to pull off onto the side of the road to laugh.
Yeah.
Finish laughing. But the dude was like, Larry, I've never seen anyone get mind fucked before in my life, and you just did it.
Love it.
So one of the funniest fucking things that ever happened to me on the book field was selling or convincing a dad that the back to the basics program is a legit thing. So
I love stories like that. The way to have fun with people. I once got a sale because a guy challenged me to pick up like an egg with like an excavator.
Like a full-size excavator or a toy excavator?
He had he was like doing some shit work on his
so he had a backhoe in his backyard, and he's like, get up on this thing and pick up that egg over there.
And I was like, this was my 3rd summer when I was completely off schedule, but when I was working, I would like not care to my goal was to just have fun, to not like be miserable selling books, because I didn't want to be there anymore and I didn't want to quit. So I was just like, I'll still try to go sell, but if it gets shitty or if I get bad PR or something, I'm just going to stop. That's basically my mentality was. So, I mean, I was working, but when I ran into like something fun, I was like, oh, I'm going to have fun if I can, because I'm going to enjoy it at least. And so I got there, I was shooting the shit with his dad. And it was one of those dads that you had to like, you could sell to if you just establish good rapport with him. Do you ever get those dads who you're just like, he's not like shooing you off, but he's definitely like just fucking around, and he's still asking about you, not in a, like not a mysterious way, like where he's
Yeah.
like skeptical, but like in a, oh, so what's it like in Nebraska? Just let's
Yeah.
run
Just
from.
kind of get to know you kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm just shooting the shit with him, like, yeah, it's flat, it's kind of like Pennsylvania is here, except like you flatten everything out and turn every tree into a cow, and that's what Nebraska is like. And he's like, ah, ha, ha. I'm like, oh, we see a lot of that construction. And I was like, I've never operated one of those. It's like anti-stereotypical. I was just fucking around with the dads, just joking with him. And
Right.
he was like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah. Can I try? And he's like, sure. So he's like teaching me. And then as we were talking, and he's teaching me, and he's like asking me about what I'm doing, and I'm like, hey. He goes, the way I was like, how would it work for you? Like, we ended up talking about that. He's like, oh, I usually have people like try to pick up like a coin or an egg or something with it without cracking it. And I was like, all right, I want to try it. And he goes, you fucking can't do it. I'm like, if I do it, you're gonna buy something from me. And he's like, well, how much is the shit you're selling? I'm like, I don't know. You get like $400 worth of stuff. And he's like, I just threw a number. And he's like, fuck it. I'm like, all right, cool. So he's like really teaching me, and I'm like working on it, and like it took me forever. I mean, I must have tried it for like 30 minutes, but he was just impressed that I could like move it a little bit, and like I slowly started getting it, and I like just like there's like a little button I press, and like an extra little small handle will come out so you can pick up little things, and like pick up the egg, and then I just like slowly moved it, and it picked it up just a couple inches of the ground. I'm like, I picked it up, and he goes, fuck. So he takes out like a wad of cash, or he writes, or his checkbook or whatever, and writes me a check for $400, and I get him something
Nice.
that kind of fits the $400. But like the trick was not getting the sales, just like doing fun shit like that, because now that was a story that I got to hang on to,
Yeah.
while
Dude,
selling books. So
shit
it
like
was
that's
fun.
so fun. Like some of the shit that I would do with like my host family or whatever, or like Danny and Karen was crazy. Like just like what's funny is like even the shit like that anyone else would think, man, that's ridiculous. Why does any job have you go through that? It's like, no, that's funny. We get to talk
Yeah,
about it later. It's a
yeah,
story.
yeah, yeah.
So
And you
yeah.
forget, like, those stories were so normal to you that when you like
Mm-hmm.
tell someone something casual, they're like, "That's crazy." And you're like, "That was a Tuesday on week 5." Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's like not that big of a deal.
That's some midsummer bullshit right there. That's normal.
Yeah, I
Like,
totaled my car or whatever it was. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool that the book place can be a place like that.
oh, speaking of shit like that, I forgot to like going back to my like getting arrested story. I've still got my mugshot from that
No
day.
way.
Let
Send that to
me
me.
no, I'm gonna post it on here so everybody can see. I'm just gonna add it as my background and then step away really quick. Hold on. Add image. Here we go. Oh yeah, there we go. Look at that greatness. That's my mugshot from getting arrested that night, dude. I was killing it.
Damn.
Look
Still
at
sold.
that.
You sold to the booking officer or whatever.
Yeah, one of those guys that was processed. That'll be my book background for the rest of the call. Look at that. Look at that young dumb B contract that had the whole summer ahead of him.
Day 3 of
Man,
summer
day
summer
3
2.
of summer of his B contract year. Man, that's a good looking dude right there.
For the record, best week of your career till that point so far,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and I was arrested one night. That was great. So they're
Hell
like, "You
yeah.
want to follow somebody?" I'm like, "No, I'm killing it. I got appointments tomorrow.
I gotta get going.
I got to sell."
All right.
So,
It's about
yeah.
time for that. I think it's about time for the pony
Oh,
story.
let's do the pony story. Well, I've got so many more. Like we haven't even gotten to like Sizzler stories or Frizzler stories or even
Oh,
the videos that I made.
that just means
But
we're gonna have to get you back on.
I opt to be episode double deuce just because it's a good number. So, but yeah, so this is a pony story from my second summer. So
You're in
I'm
Virginia
Bledsoe County, Tennessee.
or Tennessee. So
Yeah,
okay.
so in Bledsoe County, and I remember the day before, like it was a Wednesday or Thursday. It was middle of the week. I was having an okay week. I think I might have hit steak earlier that week on like Monday or something, and then I had a 0 day on Wednesday. And I remember taking that stat call that night with Jessica Lackey. And I'm going down. I remember my stats being like really good. That was the summer I was averaging over 20 sit downs a day. And this day was no different. I had over 20 sits, ton of demos. And she's like, "Damn, Larry, this sounds like it's going to be a good day. How many customers you get?" I'm like, well, "That's the end of the call. That's 0." She goes, I remember there's this long pregnant pause on the call. And she goes, are you for real? And I said, yeah. And she goes, do you smell? Did you put on deodorant today? Like what was the deal? And I'm like, I just ran into a lot of no's today, Jess. She goes, do you want to follow somebody? And I'm like, no, because I'm getting my car back tomorrow. I had wrecked my car into the side of a mountain. That goddamn thing cut me off, just jumped right out in front of me. So I wrecked my truck. So I was in a rental car. I'm like, no, I don't want to follow tomorrow. I got to get my truck back after the accident. Got to get rid of this PT Cruiser, and go back to, selling after I do that. And she goes, all right, well, if you have another rough day, I'm more than happy to have you follow me or someone else. Quentin's killing it. We'll just have you follow somebody if you need to. And I'm like, all right, no big deal. Let's just do it. So next day I go out. I'm supposed to pick up my car like around lunchtime or something like that. And I go out and I stop at this grandma. I had like bad pre-approach on her of, like pre-approach enough to where it's like, you shouldn't go to that house. Right. And so I go there. It's 9:30 in the morning. It's early, and she's giving me no buying signs whatsoever. She's not jumping in on my jokes that I got with the my books because she's got grandkids. I'm just showing her a demo, and wasn't biting on anything because I had a ton of like really corny jokes that I would do with these kids books. I loved selling kids books because of how corny I could get. And she wasn't biting any of them. She goes, so how much is it for all of them? And that was literally the only buying sign that she had. And I go, they're like 300 something bucks. She goes, I'll take two. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I just like played it up. I'm like, all right, that's great. So thank you so much. Well, here's your books. I'm going to go ahead and, go get my truck, but really appreciate your time. Here's the books. And her grandkids were sitting in the back. She didn't even bring her grandkids up to like take a look and see if they'd like it. Like she was the most closed off, like buyer ever. But she bought 2 sets of kids books. And then from there, like I went to go pick up my truck, and first place on the way back, there was this what are those ambulance workers called? What are they called? EMT workers. She was working on her ambulance out in her yard, and her daughter was there, and they also did horses. Like it was the most stereotypical, country person you could think of. And I pull up and I see him, and it's like, hey, I remember catching you earlier. Is your daughter here yet? And she goes, oh yeah, here she is. So demoed her. She got a fucking 8-book set from there. And I'm like, oh damn, I just hit stake in like 2 customers, and it's it's 1 o'clock. What? So I go I keep working, and I end up selling another 5 set. I ended up selling a couple other really big customers, and then a couple small ones here and there, some weak customers. But I was on fucking cloud 9. I was in a state of flow, if you will.
Dude, I get it. It's just such a flow.
So I was in there, I was driving in my truck. I had my tunes jammed up to the max. I was singing along with every damn thing, pulling up. Last house ended up dropping another 8-book set, and it was crazy. And then I start adding up all the stats. I'm like, I just hit 200 and something units today. I don't remember the exact number, but I remember hitting double stake. And I'm like, and I almost followed somebody today. Almost followed somebody today. So I get on that call with Jess, and I didn't have as good a stats yesterday, and I played it up too. I was like, so Larry, how was your day? And I'm like, it was all right. Probably should have followed today. She goes, yeah? And I go, so, all right, well, tell me. So we've had this many calls, this many demos. She goes, well, I mean, you're hitting your stats. That sounds good. And she goes, how many cussies? I was like, 8. And she goes, oh, okay. How many units? 200 something. And she goes,
oh,
what? Did I hear that right? And I'm like, yeah, I hit a double stake. She goes, Larry, did you just hit PC? And then I did the count, and I'm like, I did hit PC. And she goes, Larry, this is their best week ever, isn't it? And he goes,
hell yeah,
yeah,
dude.
and my best day. It was fucking crazy. Like
Like a
So
boss.
pumped, like a boss. And then obviously that was, we talked about that to the first years of like, guys, Larry had his first 0 day ever on Wednesday or Thursday. And then he hit double stake the day after.
In hit PC.
Yeah.
Was that was that the first time you hit PC?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's because you said best week ever. Okay, I wasn't
yeah.
sure if it was
Yeah, it was the best week
it
ever.
was
I only hit
another time
PC
you.
one other time after
Oh, I
that.
see.
So yeah, but that was a fucking glorious fucking week.
Dude, that's such a good feeling
Yeah.
when you have when you're in that flow state when you're like, dude, I don't give a shit. Tell
Yeah.
me no, I'm moving. It doesn't fucking
Whatever.
matter.
Yeah. And
I
it
am
was
on fire.
oh, it was so good. And it was crazy that day because I was catching people that I normally wasn't catching at home, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was just they're like, yeah, come on in. Like I remember one time, one time that day, I walked up and the dad was out in the yard and he was just shaking his head no, and I'd spoken to his wife earlier, that week, and she walks out and she goes, oh, you're back, come on in. And the dad's like,
Damn it.
they end up buying, you know it was
Yeah,
so
man.
perfect.
It's great.
Like,
Well, when you're in that flow too, it's interesting because what you really get good at is realizing when people are going to buy or not. Like I remember,
mhm,
I actually so for me, my first summer I had on Monday where it was just like the A customer day, 200 some odd units,
mhm,
and but I just remember thinking like I have the memory of thinking like I walk into a door and I could tell like they're gonna buy. So like I just knew right. I'm like, and then or I would know, oh, these are no's. I'm just gonna go. And then you
mhm.
just get in this flow of recognizing everything. You can't miss if you want to. It's pretty cool. That's a good feeling.
Dude,
Oh yeah.
it was like it's so good when you get that clicking, and it's good when you do that in anything, like even in recruiting you get in a state of flow of like where you just talk to great candidate after great
Yeah.
candidate, and I'm just like, yeah, one of these three people that I just spoke to today is getting that
Yeah.
motherfucking job,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Jamming. Yep.
So yeah, it's great. I don't know if you like it's, and that's the scientific term. There's this guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, that he has wrote like this is what is called a flow, where you are in, where it's not too challenging, it's just the right amount, but you are firing on all cylinders
Yeah. You're
and
on.
hitting
Yep.
it. Like, so
Um,
yeah.
what book is that? That is a book. But he talks about being in that zone.
Yeah, like Kobe Bryant was in that
Yeah. Well,
flow
and they
all
talk
the
about the
time.
ability, the people that are like high producers and anything, are the people that can just. Uh, it's not that they're that much more talented. It's just that the talent is actually to be able to get in that zone
Hmm.
all the time, like when on command.
Well,
Because sometimes,
there's things that are outside of your control to get into that state of flow too, because you don't have to be the best salesperson ever to be in that state of flow. Like
right,
Dustin Hillis is when he's in the flow, it's at a different level than when I was in flow, you know? So
sure, but at the same time, there's like something to be said about the fact that that there's a lot of it and that is mentally that you turn it on,
yeah.
for example, my brother, hit or like even Mark Rao or people like Ron Alford to me are more impressive than Dustin Hillis. No offense to Dustin. Dustin's
Yeah.
insane,
It's
but
just that's a name that everyone knows
yeah,
because he's like the
yeah. But
CEO and everything like that. So
for example, like Ron Alfred, I think hit more 75 times or something.
yeah. Shit's
Like
disgusting.
what the fuck? Like that he sold 9 summers. So if you exclude his first summer, that leaves like 96 weeks maybe that he out of 75 out of 96 weeks he was on. That's like consistency that is so hard to like. Or Rao, I think Rao has a record for most weeks in PC in a row or something.
Yeah.
Like where it's like he would leave in the first week of the summer, he would just hit PC. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
How
You're
how
just,
do you like get in that zone? It's kind of
yeah.
cool. It's really
That's
cool.
that's that flow. It's
Yeah.
great getting into a flow with like other things in life and just knowing that you're in that
Yeah.
zone and you're like,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
there's
That happened to
nothing you could
me.
do today.
That happened to me last week with like just stuff that I was doing at home and work and stuff. And I was just like, you just when you're on, you're like, oh baby, everything. And you're on.
Dude,
You're
you're
productive and
like
you're doing yeah.
limitless. You're freaking that dude, and you're just like in the Matrix. You're freaking Zach
Yeah.
Galifianakis in the
Hangover.
the Hangover, and you're just
Yeah.
like seeing everything. Like that
Yeah.
is, it's so awesome when you get into that state.
Yeah.
It's just a really good feeling.
Yeah, and it's cool to watch and follow people who are in that state too. I don't know if you ever
Yeah.
followed someone who was just jamming, but
Oh, dude,
I
like
never got to see it, but I heard stories of people who would follow and be like,
I
oh,
followed I followed Nate Foss when he was in a state of flow one day, dude. The dude was crushing it. He'd say some of the stupid as shit too. Like Nate Foss, if you ever get Nate Foss on this, that will be the most you will ever laugh on an episode.
Somebody else told me about Nate Foss. I think Rebecca Samuels told me about. Let me see.
Well,
Somebody for sure mentioned him,
yeah,
and I think I tried to add him on Facebook. He doesn't have Facebook. Oh,
yeah.
Patrick Ditcher.
Pat Dichter?
Pat
Dicker?
Dichter.
Oh,
Dichter
Pat Dicker.
recommended. He
I miss
recommended
that guy.
he recommended Shane Weathers and Nate Foss.
Dude,
So
power
Nate
couple.
Foss.
You
So
talking about a power couple right there. Hell yeah.
I need to get. How do I get Foss? If you could reach out to him and get him to me, I would
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
think I still got Nate's number. He'd be like, who the fuck's calling me from Georgia? Hello? Dude's one of the most naturally funny dudes on the planet is Nate Foss. So
yeah.
funny. Hey, he's like, yeah, he's great. I think he might be on Twitter or something. I don't know.
Okay, I'll try
Or
to find
Insta,
him.
but
So, all right. Do you have another pony story or?
I mean, we can save this content for another day.
Okay.
You know?
Let's do that, and we'll wrap up with that best day ever story.
Yeah, dude, that was a fun
way
day.
I can get you back on here for some more funny. Like,
yeah, for sure.
We're trying to do like also like special episodes where we can do like siblings that sold, parents and kids that sold, couples that got married or engaged, and then also just like maybe have a rapid fire like best pony story of all our guests or something like that, where it's just like you hop on for like 10 minutes, tell your story, and it's just like a continuous thing. That might be another thing that we're looking to do.
Yeah.
So just change it up, have fun with it. This is just honestly just been me itching or scratching the itch of talking to book people and getting to know more people. So this has been super fun.
This will be my background every time I get on the call.
Please, yes.
In the future.
That's great.
The mugshot, you got to stick with it. It's so good.
Yeah, hell yeah. I love it, man. Well, first of all, thank you so much for being on. I really did have a good time. It's been a great every episode, so it has not missed yet, but I do appreciate
Awesome. Yeah, dude. I've watched some of the episodes I've watched. You've had some really great people on here. I've only known personally, I only know Sydney. I'd interacted with her a few times, and Jeff Powers. Jeff's always great. So
yeah, I gotta get him back on too.
Yeah, Jeff's a lot of fun. The Powers family is a fucking power family. Like, it's crazy. When you have that last name, you just got to live up to it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. But yeah, man. So I do appreciate you being on, and hopefully you'll listen to some more episodes. We'll have you back on again sometime, and do appreciate you. For the people that are watching or on YouTube or are gonna watch this before the next week, we have Eliav Cohen coming up next on Thursday, so tune in for that because I'm excited for him. He's another person that reached out to us, and I've heard many good things from people who I've heard that he's gonna be on. So
dude, Eliav, I don't know if he still does like Eliav has magic tricks. I don't know if he'll perform them for you, but
oh hell yeah, he's gonna do those.
He's a fucking magician. And I don't want to steal his thunder because Eliav is a class A individual.
Okay, so I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Dude. Eliav, one of my favorite people.
Hey, stop, come here. And then we have Jake and Aubrey Bell and Jake Lowe. They're engaged, so we're gonna have them on.
Nice.
A week from today.
Don't know either of them, but they sound great.
No, they're super great people, so I'm looking forward to that episode. And then we have I don't know the exact dates, but we still have down the line Pete Burgess. I don't know if you know who that name.
Name sounds familiar, but I don't know them.
Dylan Barr.
Name again? Didn't you have him on once already?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Dylan Barr.
The name sounds familiar though. Okay.
Fido.
I remember hearing that name a lot when I was in books. Never met him, but I remember hearing the name a lot. Yeah.
And then maybe Travis Lopez or some other people. So we're looking forward to those. Stay tuned for that. Thank you so much, dude, for being on. That was so great. It was a good time.
Yeah. Have you figured out like a sign off yet or anything like that?
No, nothing yet. We need to just announcements for next episodes and sayonara for everyone. That's
man, you need to let's brainstorm a sign off right now. So everybody had a close. that we learned in sales school. We got to riff off something like that. I
What
mean,
everyone likes about the way I do this podcast is that you can listen live, or you can listen on YouTube, or you can listen and subscribe to our Ponytails podcast Facebook page, where you can get all information and new episodes on Ponytails podcast. This is Andres Gamboa. I was with Larry Anderson. To everyone listening, thank you so much. Have a good evening. Happy New Year. See you next time.
no, you'll be back to deliver.
But I'll be back to deliver every Sunday and Thursday.
Boom. There you go. Fuck you, Nick. You weren't around to help us with that. So,
yeah, if you're listening, I'll come up with another one. I'll probably do something related to Morts or something.
Maybe.
Something like
dude.
I threw my whole body,
dude.
and we'll be back. Our next guests are going to be two $10,000 cats. That's the way it goes.
Boom. Something. No, I like where you're going. Write it down. Repeat it in front of a mirror so that way it's good. The whole sales school thing. Do it in front of God. Can you imagine being in that office? Anyway, I'll talk to you later.
See you later, brother. Thanks for being on. Peace.
For sure. Bye, man.